What if I told you that some of history's most dangerous killers weren't caught because of brilliant detective work, but because of a single stupid mistake, a family member's betrayal, or a piece of technology they never saw coming? Today, we're looking at 5 cold cases that were solved completely by accident. And number 2 is going to shock you. Stay until the end, because the last case proves that sometimes, justice finds a way, even after 65 years of silence. Case number 1. The floppy disk. Dennis Rader terrorized Wichita, Kansas for over 30 years. From 1974 to 1991, he murdered 10 people in what he coldly called his projects. He gave himself a nickname. BTK. Bind. Torture. Kill. And then, for 13 years, he simply disappeared. In 2004, BTK suddenly resurfaced. He began sending letters and packages to local news stations, taunting police, reminding them he was still out there. He loved the attention. He craved it. And that arrogance would be his downfall. In early 2005, he sent police a question through a local newspaper. He asked, "Can a floppy disk be traced back to a computer?" Officers responded through a classified ad, "No, a floppy disk is safe. It cannot be traced." It was a lie. 1 week later, a purple floppy disk arrived at a television station. Investigators went to work. On the disk, they found a deleted Microsoft Word document. And buried in the metadata was a single name, Christ Lutheran Church. A quick Google search revealed that Dennis Rader was the church president. On February 25, 2005, police arrested Dennis Rader. He was 60 years old. He had been living quietly for 13 years, a church president, a compliance officer, a grandfather. He confessed to all 10 murders. 31 years after his first murder, BTK was finally behind bars. Because of a floppy disk. And 1 deleted file. Case number 2. The Manifesto. Between 1978 and 1995, a man known only as the Unabomber sent 16 bombs through the United States mail. 3 people were killed. 23 were injured. The FBI spent 17 years and over $50 million searching for him. They had almost nothing. Then, in 1995, the Unabomber made a demand. He sent a 35,000-word manifesto to the FBI, and threatened more bombings if major newspapers didn't publish it. The New York Times and Washington Post agreed. The manifesto ran in September of 1995. Most Americans read it. Most moved on, but one person couldn't stop thinking about it. David Kaczynski was reading the manifesto with his wife when she leaned over and quietly said, "This sounds like your brother." The phrases. The ideology. The specific way the ideas were constructed. It sounded exactly like his older brother Ted, who had withdrawn from society and was living alone in a small cabin in the Montana wilderness. David struggled with the decision for months. He hired a private linguist to compare the manifesto with old letters his brother had written. The match was overwhelming. In February 1996, David called the FBI. On April 3, 1996, federal agents raided a 10 by 12-foot cabin in Lincoln, Montana. Inside, they found Ted Kaczynski, along with the original typed manuscript of the manifesto, a live bomb ready to be mailed, and detailed journals of every attack. The most expensive manhunt in FBI history was ended by a brother, who read a newspaper. Case number 3. The genealogy website. For over 40 years, the Golden State Killer was a ghost. Between 1974 and 1986, he committed at least 13 murders and 50 sexual assaults across California. He was meticulous. Careful, he left almost no useful evidence. And then he simply vanished. In 2017, investigators made a desperate move. They uploaded the killer's unknown DNA to a genealogy website called GeneMatch, a platform where ordinary people upload their DNA to find long-lost relatives. They weren't looking for the killer. They were looking for his family. After months of painstaking work, building family trees branch by branch, investigators narrowed the search to one man, Joseph James DeAngelo, a 72-year-old former police officer living quietly in Sacramento. To confirm the match, investigators retrieved a discarded DNA sample from DeAngelo's trash. It matched the Golden State Killer's DNA perfectly. On April 24, 2018, DeAngelo was arrested in his own driveway, stunned. He had been hiding in plain sight for over 4 decades, as a police officer, as a grandfather, as a neighbor who waved hello every morning. He was caught not because of brilliant detective work. He was caught because his third cousin, once removed, wanted to know where their family came from. Case number 4. The traffic stop. Israel Keyes was different from most killers. He was methodical in a way that was almost incomprehensible. He planned his crimes years in advance, burying murder kits across the country before ever using them. He flew into states he had no connection to, rented cars, drove hundreds of miles, and targeted complete strangers. No pattern. No motive. No digital trail. Investigators believe he killed at least 11 people between 2001 and 2012. The true number may never be known. He was caught for one reason alone. He made a phone call. In February 2012, Keyes kidnapped 18-year-old Samantha Koenig in Anchorage, Alaska. After killing her, he demanded ransom from her family using her phone. He also kept using her debit card. Every transaction was recorded. Every ATM had a camera. Investigators tracked the card as it moved across multiple states. Texas, New Mexico, Mississippi. On March 13, 2012, a Texas state trooper near Lufkin pulled over a dark SUV for a routine traffic stop. The driver had done nothing wrong. There was no reason to pull him over. It was completely random. The driver's name was Israel Keyes. In the months that followed, he confessed to murders across multiple states, and then, on December 2, 2012, he was found dead in his jail cell. He took most of his secrets with him. One of America's most meticulous killers was stopped by a random traffic stop on a Texas highway. Case number 5. 65 Years of Silence. On February 25, 1957, a man checking his muskrat traps in Philadelphia made a discovery that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Inside a cardboard box, he found the body of a small child. A boy. No older than 5. He had been beaten, malnourished, and carefully wrapped in a flannel blanket, as if someone had tried, at the very end, to show him some kindness. Police called him America's unknown child. They plastered his face on gas station receipts, on flyers, across newspapers nationwide. They dressed him in new clothes and took fresh photographs, hoping someone would recognize him. Nobody did. For 65 years, he had no name. In 2019, investigators partnered with a forensic genealogy company called Othram. Using degraded DNA extracted from the boy's teeth, they rebuilt his genetic profile and began searching genealogy databases. Branch by branch, they built a family tree. And in December of 2022, 65 years after his body was found, they had a name. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Born 1953. Died 1957. His parents were long dead. Family members who may have known his story refused to cooperate with investigators. His case technically remains open. But today, if you visit his grave in Philadelphia's Ivy Hill Cemetery, it no longer says America's unknown child. It says Joseph Augustus Zarelli. After 65 years of silence, the boy in the box finally has a name. 5 cases. 5 accidents. 5 moments where fate, technology, or someone's conscience changed everything. If these stories kept you watching until the end, subscribe. We cover cold cases, unsolved mysteries, and the stories that most channels never tell. New video every week. Drop a cold case in the comments. You might see it in our next video. See you next Tuesday.